Hello and thanks for joining us. I'm Laurel Hess and this is Comcast Newsmakers coming to you from the State Capitol building in downtown Lansing. Our topic today is energy production. Joining me now to talk about it is State Representative Aric Nesbitt, a Republican from the 66th District, which represents the area between Kalamazoo and St. Joe. And we should also mention you are the chairman of the Energy and Technology Committee. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Laurel. Appreciate being here.
You've been working very hard recently when it comes to energy in particular in our state, and have managed to be able to get a couple of bills passed.
Yeah, we've been working I chair the Energy and Technology Committee, and we have a great committee that's been looking at ways to really increasing production here in Michigan in an environmentally sound manner. We all see the high price of gasoline that's out there, hurting the pocketbooks of families and small businesses, and the amount that we have to import from other countries. And so 2 years ago, I chaired the Natural Gas Subcommittee looking at ways to develop more ways of energy production here in the state of Michigan. And we found that working on what's called enhanced oil recovery. And this is where these old oil wells, and in Michigan, we've actually had about 12,000 wells that have been developed over the last 60, 70 years. And a lot of people don't know that Michigan's 13th in the nation in natural gas production and 18th in the nation in oil production. And I remember growing up, my dad telling stories even where we lived outside of Lawton, where there used to be these old oil wells back in the 50s and 60s, because we do have a lot of natural resources and oil and gas here in the state. So these old oil wells that used to be, that are at the end of their production, that they're capped, no longer producing, there's new technology now using carbon dioxide, CO2 that's usually just released out in the atmosphere from whether it's coal plants or chemical facilities. And what they've been doing in some other states is capturing that carbon dioxide and flooding these old oil wells, and you're able to get another 15 to 20% of the oil out of these old oil wells that you couldn't recover otherwise. And so we cut the severance tax on that, make it more competitive with other states so we can see more investment here in Michigan. And it also prevents the release of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And the Natural Resource Defense Council, an environmental group, actually called it a win for Michigan's economy, a win for job creation, a win for domestic energy production, a win for the environment. Because for every 2.5 barrels of oil that you produce, you get a metric ton of CO2 stored underground. We got that signed into law about a month ago at Western Michigan University, at their core laboratories, where all the rock samples are stored from around the state. And this is where they train geologists here in Michigan. And a lot of times these young educated workers have to go off to Houston or North Dakota. We want them to stay here in Michigan trying to revive our oil and gas industry.
So certainly we would like to recover as much natural energy as we can in our state, but there's always that environmental sort of give and take. Okay. And I know as well that you are using some of the leasing rights to fund the Natural Resources Trust Fund. So some money going back to help the environment as well.
30 years ago, Michigan voters had the foresight of saying oil and gas production, the leasing sales that goes on from oil and gas production, that money should go in the Natural Resources Trust Fund. And there's actually $500 million in the Natural Resources Trust Fund now, and now any new revenue goes into the State Parks Fund to help preserve our state parks. And in fact, so the Natural Resources Trust Fund helps fund projects such as in South Haven, a new playground on the south side, or even the 400 acres of land that's preserved now permanently for the next generation south of Lawton.
All right, doing a lot of good things with that money. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Today's Comcast Newsmaker was Aric Nesbitt, a Republican from the 66th District.